was sitting in my office this morning when probably the 25th straight person came in the office and said, "So, how are you doing?" And I figured after having that many people that cared enough about me and about the program to come in and ask the question, "How am I doing?" I thought, hey, why not just go on the World Wide Web and share the answer to the question, "How are we doing?" We can talk about moral victories and things like that, but when you're a coach and you're judged on objective standards partially, this has been a tough time. When I walk in and tell our sports information director that we have the best recruiting class maybe Wheaton has seen in many, many years, certainly the best that I've had. When we start the season 2-0, and that includes a win over a very good number 13 in the nation, Ohio Wesleyan team. Not in your wildest, darkest nightmares do you imagine that it would be a month and a half later, I'd be doing this video blog, having not won another game since then. There's nothing within me that could have possibly imagined such a scenario. And maybe that sounds cocky, and maybe that sounds proud, and maybe that's part of the issue. But I think it's not. I mean, I think as I've processed what's happened so far in this season, I processed a couple of things, and I know a lot of people are wondering, how are we doing? So I thought I would just do it publicly. On the one hand, I don't want anyone to believe that what I shared on the internet early is wrong. I think by the time the Wheaton story is over for these young men of the class of 2000, the recruiting class of 2010, I think they will make Wheaton soccer very proud. I have absolute confidence that's the case. I wasn't wrong. I wasn't wrong in saying that they are one of the best classes ever. Now, did we get maybe a little too ambitious with playing back-to-back top 15 teams that are all undefeated? Perhaps. But I will always play a hard schedule because, as to quote the cliche, if you want to be the best, you need to play the best. And it has been a really challenging time. I mean, if you look at the results until yesterday's difficult loss, it was a 3-2 loss, number 1 team in the country, an overtime loss to number 4 team in the country. Played great against number 9 team in the country and lost by 2 goals. Lost the last 3 minutes to the number 8 team in the country, and it's been difficult and it's been challenging for these boys to deal with that. We have 16 freshmen and 7 sophomores, but I'll never use age against me. And so when I ask people what I want them to think about the season so far as the wins and losses go, I want them to think about that this is all on me. I think a head coach's responsibility is to manage the mind. More than managing what happens on the field is to manage the mind. And I don't think I've done a very good job of that. And we're continuing to go forward and work on that. But don't blame these guys. Don't think that these guys are not nearly as good as we said. I want people to think about that. I want them to say, I don't give up on the guys, but Giuliano's got to get it done. On the other side, I hope that people would understand that there's redemptive power in difficult times. I've said so many times, forgive the cliche, that athletics gives you the opportunity to practice life's most difficult circumstances, but when the stakes are relatively small, because it's just a game. And we're getting the chance to do that right now. None of us have been in a situation like this for many years. And I hope that when this is all said and done, that these young men will be young men that are more mature, are more grown up, frankly, are more Christ-like, because they have taken a shot to their self-esteem, to their self-image, and yet they've come out stronger than ever. And then the last thing I want people to know is it's not over. There's 2 ways to get into the national tournament. One's to an at-large bid, probably not going to be in our future, but the other one is to win your conference. And we haven't lost a game in our conference. We haven't won a game in our conference, but we haven't lost it, and that begins next week. And I'm maybe the emperor with no clothes on who just, says everything's fine, don't worry. But I honestly believe there's still a real chance we might make a great run in conference and win this all. So for all of you that were asking how am I doing, I'm doing just fine. I would prefer a few more wins to be able to say that, but I still believe that this may have a very, very happy ending.